Sunnyside Academics for professionals and students. Hit the like button, subscribe, and support in any way you can for your quick refresher guides. In our previous lessons, we looked at the effects of what we eat or drink. That led us to understanding more about our digestive system, as it includes intestinal absorption. We can see, therefore, what our body can do to the food we eat and what food can do to our body. Understanding our digestive system and metabolic roles of nutrients that are absorbed gives a little more meaning to the phrase, "You are what you eat." Digestion of carbohydrates and fats into nutrients that gets intestinally absorbed and which eventually gets metabolized are some takeaways from our videos. We can recap that metabolism of nutrients are a process powered by ATP energy store. We breathe in oxygen and breath out carbon dioxide in exchange. Oxygen we breathe in via our lungs also crosses over into circulation for onward distribution. Topic of the day: physiology of respiratory system. We can begin discussing physiology of respiratory system by highlighting inspiration or inhalation and expiration or exhalation. Oxygen is inhaled to meet body's demand for it, while carbon dioxide is exhaled. Carbon dioxide can be said to play a role in regulation of respiration and control of body's pH. Ultimate gaseous exchange occurs at the point where the alveolus meets with the pulmonary capillary. During this exchange, oxygen diffuses into blood circulation while carbon dioxide leaves blood circulation and enters the alveolus for onward exhalation. By the way, it is at alveoli pulmonary capillary gaseous exchange segment that deoxygenated blood gets oxygenated by incoming oxygen from alveolus of the lungs. In our system, gases are constantly absorbed and released by cellular or metabolic reactions. An efficient system for gaseous exchange between intracellular compartments and external environment is necessary, and it is achieved through respiration. Oxygen gases are used by tissue cells in our system for oxygenation. For example, cellular metabolism occurs in presence of oxygen, while carbon dioxide has a number of uses in body and are exhaled to our external environment for several uses, including supporting plant photosynthesis. An example of metabolic demand for oxygen can be seen by looking at our previous lesson, that we discussed cellular respiration using glucose and free fatty acids for ATP production via aerobic metabolic pathways involving glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and electron transport chain. Anaerobic respiration differs from aerobic respiration given that it is a faster but fewer ATP production pathway. It is a fermentation process which uses pyruvate derived from glycolysis to produce lactic acid. This whole fermentation process oxidizes NADH to regenerate NAD+, so that glycolysis can continue to make more ATP rapidly. Adenosine triphosphate ATP is end product of cellular respiration, and it is an energy store that is vital for various functions in the body. But we must also note that aerobic differs from anaerobic respiration in the sense that in aerobic, presence of oxygen, the Krebs cycle pathway and electron transport chain are activated for a higher number of ATP production, whereas in anaerobic, absence of oxygen, lactic acid fermentation from pyruvate generates coenzymes for driving faster glycolytic pathway for fewer ATP production. So in overview, we say respiration is body's system for providing oxygen needed for various biological functions, such as metabolic processes. So we shall now be looking at oxygen transport to tissue cells in the body system and carbon dioxide exchange from tissue cells to exhalation. During gaseous exchange, oxygen from the alveolus of the lungs diffuses into the pulmonary capillary of circulatory system and reversibly binds to a protein known as hemoglobin, found in the capillary for onward transport in blood circulation. When hemoglobin transported oxygens or oxygen-rich blood reaches tissue that needs oxygen, it is then supplied or it diffuses into the tissue for necessary biological or metabolic functions. It is said that about 2% of inhaled oxygen dissolves in plasma, while about 98% inhaled oxygen are transported reversible bound to hemoglobin. In exchange, carbon dioxide generated as a byproduct from metabolism leaves tissue cells and is transported in the blood. Carbon dioxide's blood transportation occurs via different processes. It can be transported bound to proteins, particularly hemoglobin, or it can be dissolved in solution, or it can be buffered with water to form carbonic acid. In our next video, we shall be discussing disorders in the respiratory system and what they can lead to. Also, treatment or medicine recommendations that are applicable in respiratory ailments and respiratory conditions like asthma and COPD. Please continue to like and support this channel that brings you a quick refresher guide.